We're heading straight down their throats. Me and the lads in our Lehman Russ are now at the true danger zone. We're hop, skip and jump from the front lines of the Little Blue, and they are prepared as we plough on, our small guns aimed directly into the Xenos as they run. From the trenches we smash right over. Taking them down in their swathes is finally revenge time. Heh. One of their huge towering night things is in front of us and taking its toll on our advance. Like the god of battle that it is, its weapons point in our direction and everything dies. We watch it pop one after another of our charging friends, each shot another 5 lads we won't see in the mess. We'll never brawl with over who owes what after too much amosec. All of them turn into sprays of blood and viscera as they are sucked out of a tiny hole in their tank, a hole punched out by this nasty thing in front of us. But it's not all one way now. We have it in our rangefinder. An order gets barked down the Vox, and I nudge Rotten, our main gunner. Rotten, see those things? The little things, the drones, around that thing? He nods his assent. He is grinning like a 2-year-old given his rations. Rotten's enjoying this. Shoot them out. Gobby, Grumpy, shoot every last gun we have at those drones. Gobby fires back, but I'm notching up some serious numbers on the Little Blue bus. Shut it, Gobby. For the love of the Emperor, just do as you are told. He has already started firing on the drones before I even snapped at him. But it's the dance, it's the drill, it's the pantomime. We keep things light and fun inside, while ignoring the horror that is going on outside. Rotten's tongue comes out the side of his mouth as he aims our main gun and he pops off rounds. But slower, more deliberate. Gobby and Grumpy lay on fire, and eventually, between it all, we see a few of the drone's shields smash and the little things explode. Our tanks in the line are doing the same. Why are we doing this again? Instead of claiming scouts, boss? Bill is here. He's going to introduce himself in a sec. So keep firing, lads. Just keep firing. The lads all look at me for a brief second when I snap that. All of a sudden, we have the same twinkle in our eye. The one we always have when Bonus Bill starts talking to the enemy. It's going okay. More of the little floaty things die under our concentrated fire. But Ears rips off his headpiece and pushes to the hatch. Everyone out, now! Nobody thinks twice, we all just move. In less than 5 seconds we are outside, diving off our old girl like she had the rot. And not a moment too soon. I look at the line and see why Ears had received the order. Most officers would not care, but someone in the HQ is getting a bottle of something nice for this one, a rarity indeed. But 1 or 2 more shots from our old gal would not have done much to that night thing. A riptide, I think someone called it. As the thing points its main cannon at one after another of the tanks in our column, executing them. Anyone too stupid to leave their tank is dead. Me and the lads dive into the trenches we have just passed. We know what is about to happen. After our gal gets hit, we look up as Bill finally says hello. A blast comes over our heads and smashes straight through the small shields that the few remaining drones were throwing up around this Xenos horror of a vehicle. It punches straight through the tower weapon like it was ripping through us. It topples onto its back. A smoking hole straight through the middle of its torso. It lands hard on more retreating Tau. Good. The cheer goes up from our lines, and as we are outside we can hear it and add our own voices. Bill, what we call the Baneblade attached to our formation, he crept up and shot that nasty piece of work on his first try. As always. Good old Bill. What's more, we hear him coming in our direction, like a moving landslide, the Emperor's own wrath. Bill has a whole company of grunts behind him around him as he pushes forward. The Tau start to flee. Lines of them are firing in consecutive ranks as they fall back. One line kneels and fires and then runs on 10 paces, when another line of them kneels and gives more fire. Our boys are being torn to pieces as they rush around us trying to get into the little blue fellas. But Bill hasn't done enough yet, it seems. As he rolls up, his guns blaze and everything Xenos dies in their droves. With Bill forging the way, the infantry are pushing in hard. As they pass our trench, one of them stops and smiles. Come on, lads. It's time to get up and get friendly with the Xenos, eh? His huge silly hat bobbing, it's almost comedic, but he's got a point. I look around at the lads. Come on, gents, time for us to take a bit of revenge for the old girl, eh? They grin back at me. Everyone has grabbed a weapon on the way out of the old girl, as we always do in drill. I sigh. Rotten, where's your lasgun, you twit? He grins back at me while brandishing his trenching tool. You know I like it up and personal with Bill about it's mainly going to be mopping up anyways, boss. Hold that thought, Rotten, says I, as a buzzing sound comes from the air as I look over the edge of the trench before leading the way to join our grunt lads from Vestroya. My jaw drops. I see something that makes my bile rise and I spit. There are loads of things in the air buzzing about, firing down on our lads. I can see the Vostroyans dying in their droves, but nothing can touch Bill. But what is the thing that makes me spit? I see humans, dressed in Xenos armour, carrying Xenos weapons, countercharging our Vostroyan infantry. We rise as one and hoof it towards them. How could they? The traitors! But this is only a sideline, a skirmish. As we get stuck in, Bill the Baneblade drives up the field without anything that can stand against it. The rest of the column taking pace at his flanks. His main gun's now aimed on their power generator, and it's soon going to be all over. Holy Throne, I love Bill. Continued soon. Welcome, gentle listener. I am Baldermort, your faithful servant, and I wish to introduce you to the forces, factions, and war gear of the Warhammer universe, the grim darkness of the future. Today we are going to look at one of the veritable colossi of the battlefield, and no mean figure I can tell you, the super heavy battle tanks of the Imperium, beginning with this, its most oft-seen star, the Baneblade. And what a horror this vehicle is, a veritable testament to the nature of warfare in the far future. Bearing a complement of firepower that would make any gunner giddy, its firepower, its armour, and its sheer threat and footprint make it one of the undisputed kings of the field of combat. We shall now rely on existing wisdom to give us the basics of this mighty battle tank and the basics of its brethren, super heavy battle tanks. To quote, super heavy tanks. Each super heavy tank is a monument to the destructive power of the Astra Militarum. They are the Emperor's undying wrath cast in steel. Holy weapons with the power to obliterate anything in their path. Few commanders have earned the honor to field one of these glorious relics in battle, and fewer enemies can withstand their destructive power. The largest and most destructive weapons of Astra Militarum are its super heavy tanks. Powered by enormous multi-fuel engines and driven by ferociously bellicose machine spirits, they are remnants of the dark age of technology that continue to exemplify the implacability of mankind. The hull of a super heavy tank is layered with plates of adamantine steel armour, and bristling from this near impenetrable casing are a multitude of armaments. Each of these monstrous machines boasts enough firepower to eradicate entire enemy formations single-handedly, and certain patterns have even greater offensive potential, with added sponson and hull-mounted weaponry. Ubiquitous to all variants is a colossal main gun protruding from the turret. Some of these fire ultra-explosive shells, whereas others emit beams of immolating energy, or a superabundance of mass reactive bolts. Regardless of their payload, these weapons are capable of bringing utter ruination to the most fearsome enemies of the Imperium. During the Great Crusade, entire regiments of super heavy tanks were fielded in battle. The rumbling of engines rolled like thunder, so that the enemies of the Imperium felt their advance long before the armoured wave broke over the horizon. Now only a handful of Forge Worlds possessed the sacred STCs, standard template constructs required for their construction and maintenance. As such, they cannot be deployed on every one of the Astra Militarum's many war fronts, only in the most crucial theatres, where failure is absolutely unacceptable, and sheer weight of guardsmen corpses has not yet won victory, are these steel behemoths unleashed upon the enemy. A single super heavy tank is a dominant presence in an Astra Militarum battle line. As it ploughs inexorably forward, it lays down a wide path of destruction. Energy ranks shatter long before it reaches their position, and those unlucky few who are able to maintain the defensive formations are ground to paste under the slab-like plates of its tracks. To witness such merciless punishment meted out against their foes provides a huge boost of morale to nearby Astra Militarum forces. Though they face unimaginable horrors, they are given hope by the vessel of incarnate devastation that fights alongside them. The Baneblade is the most common variant of super heavy tank. Its primary weapon, the fearsome Baneblade cannon, is capable of delivering apocalyptic bombardments at a terrifying range. At close range, armoured vehicles are blasted to scrap by its hull-mounted demolisher cannon, and infantry and xenobeasts are blown to pieces by its autocannon and twin heavy bolters. Each other pattern of super heavy tank has armaments that make it dominant in specific battlefield roles. The Banehammer is the ultimate equalizer when facing a highly mobile enemy force. The massive shells of its tremor cannon are primed to explode only once they have been embedded below ground. The surrounding effect of their detonations makes rapid redeployment impossible. The Hellhammer and Stormsword are both designed for use in siege and urban warfare. Their respective cannons make a mockery of defensive barricades. The Hellhammer also mounts a demolisher cannon, whereas Stormsword's siege cannon alone provides reliable devastation. Similarly, the Banesword's quake cannon can pulverize enemy armor and reduce fortifications to rubble. The Shadow Sword is equipped with one of the most fearsome primary weapons, the dreaded volcano cannon, and is capable of taking down titans at extreme ranges. Nothing short of the most powerful energy fields can hope to stop a direct hit from its blasts. The magma cannon of the Doomhammer is a smaller version of the volcano cannon. Though it has a reduced range of fire, its compact size allows for troop transport space within the hull. The Stormlord, on the other hand, is almost entirely dedicated to troop transport, its cavernous bay capable of carrying 40 guardsmen, while its Vulcan Megabolter makes it particularly potent against enemy infantry. The interior of a Baneblade has more in common with a fortified command bunker than it does with the insides of other, smaller armoured vehicles. Its weapons interfaces, operating points, and data relays sprawl across several intermeshed layers of decks, which are connected by a warren of corridors and companionways. Yet despite its enormous bulk, there is precious little space for the numerous crew. Every surface is encrusted with sancti-wired servo skulls, draped with purity seals or pocked with munitions sconces, all of which are devoted to the steering of the Baneblade's raging machine spirit. Before this ancient spirit can be awakened, each control panel and catechetical dial must be daubed with sanctified oils. When the engines do roar to fiery life, these oils quickly vaporize into an acrid fume. Many crews believe this represents the tank sharing its breath with those it has deemed worthy. The clangor inside a fully active Baneblade rivals that of all but the most apocalyptic of conflicts. Thunderous blasts reverberate through the hull every time the primary weapon is fired. A high-pitched clatter fills the stifling air as an unending cascade as spent shells casings rain down through the grills into collection receptacles. Even the scratching of quill on parchment is deafening, as reams of cogitative data are hastily recorded by batteries of autoscribes. This is to say nothing of the mighty engine itself, the living heart of the Baneblade, that thrums with fury as the mechanical beast drives into battle. Those crews manning the lower decks may hear the sound of lesser vehicles breaking beneath the Baneblade's adamantium tracks. The metallic crunch echoes up through the base plates, as does the splintering of bones from any warriors unlucky enough to be caught in the beast's path. So constant is this deafening sound that many Baneblade crew members begin to lose their sanity when exposed to the relative silence outside the mechanical cocoon for too long. The hull of a Baneblade is composed of the most durable steel alloys known to the tech priests of the Adeptus Mechanicus. Even so, it is not completely impervious to damage. Baneblades are sent into battle against the most terrifying abominations in the galaxy. Gargantuan machines of eldritch design, towering Xenos creatures, and heinous demons spewed forth from the warp. These profane war machines and apex monstrosities can deliver enough force to breach a Baneblade's hull. When they do, destructive shockwaves are sent rippling through the interior chambers. The pressure surge is enough to pulverize those inside, caving in the skulls of those closest to the impact and liquefying their organs. But the Baneblade is not dead. Hatches clamp down to contain burning plasma or demonic bile, and the tank's neuro-couplings are quickly rerouted to the surviving crew members. Though scarred and scorched, the Baneblade can take an inordinate amount of damage without losing any of its destructive potential. Bristling with armaments, a Baneblade is less of a tank and more of a rolling fortress, an unmistakable icon of the Imperium's armored supremacy. A single one of these super-heavy war engines can serve as the mailed fist of an Astra Militarum offensive, or as the unassailable linchpin of even the most desperate of defences. Possessed of overwhelming and versatile firepower, exceptionally thick armour and a near indefatigable power plant, the Baneblade has been deployed in many varied war zones throughout the Imperium. Wherever a Baneblade sees battle, it quickly becomes the centre of the battlefield. Guardsmen and smaller tanks shelter in its colossal shadow, even as the ranks of the enemy flee from it in abject terror. End quote. Ah, the Baneblade. Few of the foes who can see this across the field will not let out at least a small involuntary shudder. Baneblades show the true degeneration of the Imperium more than anything else in my mind. Huge vehicles that are needed more than ever before. As the Necrons rise, chaos surges across the galaxy, and the Tyranids feel larger and larger bioforms to match the power of the Titans and Knights fielded by the galactic powers. It is now built on very few Forge worlds, and it is most often Mars itself that constructs the vast majority of them. As we have heard, so venerated are these vehicles of unadulterated violence that they are treated like lost sons by the tech priests of Mars, their deeds recorded and their deaths lamented. I can fully attest to their might as well, having been across from them multiple times. During a club-round campaign against the Tyranids, which we dubbed the Crunchening, their intervention meant the saving of a hive, as they systematically annihilated every last bug I could send in their direction. For against a Baneblade, or any of its super-heavy kin, to remain at range is folly, for their main gun would delete target after target. But to close with it is foolish, for its abundance of small arms will tear through hordes of troops like a scythe through straw. As a figure, a model, it is simply splendid, and a very worthy centerpiece for any Astra Militarum or Imperial Guard collection or force, and thus it is quite rightly called by many their pride and joy. In the future, I look forward to taking you through the caliber and construction of all of its many arms and armor, its true glory, and where it has turned the tide of battle. But that is where we shall leave it for today, as this is only an introduction. I have been Baldermort, your faithful servant. If you have enjoyed this introduction to super heavy tanks and the Baneblade in basic, then please do consider liking and subscribing. Should you be a regular gentle listener and see the worth in what we do, then do please also consider supporting us on Patreon or with a one-off donation to assist the channel to continue and hopefully flourish. Now, no matter what you do today, do truly try to make some time for fun. Toodaloo.